me record from my side and let me share the screen. Okay, right. So SQL is a common language. Okay, SQL is a common language for all RDBMS softwares. Clear? Fine. SQL, we are going to use SQL language. But in SQL language also, like in Sanskrit, like how we have different languages. Okay. In the same way, SQL language is differentiated with multiple languages. Okay. Microsoft separately designed a language called T-SQL. Okay. So Microsoft, for its RDBMS softwares, we have Microsoft SQL Server, right? So for Microsoft SQL Server, Microsoft separately designed a language called T-SQL. Means separately means based on the SQL language only, all these languages are came. Okay, so they just developed the SQL language as per their requirements. So if you go to Linux operating system, everyone, that is a open source. Open source means what? You also can develop a new operating system using Linux operating system. Linux is a base, or Unix. Linux or Unix is a base. Based on that, we can create different flavors. Okay, different operating system based on that particular Linux operating system. Unix, Ubuntu, CentOS. These are different operating systems from Linux. Means for all these operating system, Linux is the base OS. They are going to modify the code and they are going to create their own operating system. Okay, whenever they need it. So in the same way, SQL is a common language. From this SQL language, different RDBMS softwares creates their own languages. Okay, the basic SQL language only. They just modified the code of SQL language and they are using as per their requirement. So Microsoft also modified SQL language and it was created a T-SQL language, Transact SQL language. Oracle used same SQL language and it just designed PLSQL. Okay, PLSQL. Right. So like this, other RDBMS softwares also created their own SQL languages. So the SQL language mainly will help you to communicate with the databases. Okay, so databases don't understand English, so we have to give separate query to complete our work. So that separate query will be written in T-SQL language for SQL Server. For Oracle, it's PLSQL. So that's why if you see Oracle and T-SQL, almost all concepts are same, logics are same, keywords, some of the keywords also same, syntaxes, most of the syntax is also same. But T-SQL is somewhat easy when compared to Oracle. Okay, T-SQL is somewhat is like how we are talking in English. In the same way, small words, simple words will be act as a commands or syntaxes for T-SQL. Okay, right. So less whatever queries we are using, those are all T-SQL queries only. Whatever queries we are using, whatever queries developers are going to use, all queries are in T-SQL only. Fine, right? So we want to create one new table, right? I want to create a new table. So how can we create a new table now? What is the query to create a new table?
Create table name.
Okay, that's it. Huh?
Run the query, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, so for example, forget about forget about T-SQL and all. You are working, okay, as a teacher. Okay, now you want to track students' details. I asked you to create a table for students. What and all things you want to track from students?
Student name,
Student ID,
roll number,
Very good.
age,
student name,
date of birth.
student marks.
Very good.
Student fees.
Very good. Which is important, very important. Next. So whatever it might be. So you can take some columns as parameters, right? Student name is a column, right? If you want to like create in the Excel sheet, what you are going to do, you will open an Excel sheet, you will simply give student number, okay, or student ID, student name, student date of birth, class, age, okay, fees. Okay, so these things and all you are going to track, right? So in the same way, if we want to create any table, first of all, we have to decide what kind of columns we want to create. Student ID is a column. Student number is a column. Okay. And student name is a column. Fees is a column. Every parameter is a column. See here, this is a table actually. Okay. So the horizontal entity, sorry, this is vertical entity. The vertical entity is called column. This one is one column. File ID is one column. Group ID is one column. Size is one column. Max size is one column. The vertical entity you can see here, right, which was highlighted. The vertical entity is a column. What is the horizontal entity?
Cards.
Rows.
Row or record. Both are same. Okay. Field or column. Both are same. Okay. Field or column. Both are same. Row or record. Both are same. Okay. So rows means what? The vertical and the horizontal entities, we can call it as a rows or records. Okay. So how many rows are there in this table?
15 rows.
15
sir.
rows.
15 rows. You can see here. Okay. This is the final number. Okay. You can see here also. But sometimes, okay, if it is 1 lakh records are there, you cannot drag and drop like this, right? So you can see how many records are there using this number. Okay. Total in this table, total 15 rows are there. 15 rows means each row is one record. So total 15 records are there in this table. Okay. The vertical entity is called, what is the vertical entity?
Field.
Field or column. What is the horizontal entity?
Rows
Rows
are
or
records.
records.
Records are
Okay.
rows.
So in case if we want to create any table, rows, no need to like concentrate on rows. Okay, we have to concentrate on columns only. Automatically rows will be added. See, collection of columns is called row, right? Okay, when you collect, when you just highlight all these things, automatically it will create a row, right? So this is a row. So forget about the row. So we have to create the columns. Okay. So in case if I want to create a student table, I have to give some column names, right? So student
Yes.
ID is a column name, student name is a column name, age is a column name, date of birth is a column name, class is a column name. Whatever I want, I can create. Okay, so we'll create a student table now. Okay, simple student table we'll create. Okay, so what is the query for that? Create. What we want to create?
Table.
Student, table.
Yes, we have a lot of things, right? Create database, create table. So different things we have. So that's why now we want to create a table, right? So create table. So what we are going to do next?
Student.
Table name. Okay, table name here in our case student, right? Create table name. Very good. So we want to collect the columns, right? So columns. So what kind of columns we'll collect? We'll collect 3 columns. That is fine. Okay. Student number, yes number. I'm simply mentioning as yes number. Remember guys, each column will have a data type. If you see here, size is accepting only numbers. Under this size, can I give any name?
No, sir.
Characters,
No,
characters
we
it won't
cannot give.
accept. Yeah, size means it should be numbers only. Okay, so if I ask you what is your height, okay, you have to say 5'10" or 5'6" or 5'7". You cannot say my height is 60 kgs, my height is 70 kgs. If I ask you your weight, my weight is 60 kgs. You cannot say my weight is 5 inches, okay, 5 feet 7 inches, right? So every parameter will have its own metrics, right? In the same way, student number, it should accept only numbers, right? So data type, that is called data type. What is the type of data you are going to give? Data type, okay? Data type means type of data it is going to accept, right? So data type. So every column you have to mention the data type also. Each column, what kind of data it has to take. Student number, what kind of data it has to take? Numbers.
Numbers only.
Numbers,
Integers.
right? Yes. So we have different data types. Okay, so let's discuss some of the database. Integer will act as a, like integer is a data type which will accept the numbers. Okay, Integer accept numbers, means if you want to give numbers, then you can allocate integer data type, okay, for that particular column. Character, if you want to give characters, if you want to insert the data, you can allocate character data, get data type. Varchar, okay, varchar means what? What is meant by varchar?
Both, sir. Numbers plus characters.
Okay, so address will have numbers and characters, right? Door number, street number, road number, and it will also have names, street names, right? So address will have combination, both it will have. So for that kind of data, if you want to store, you can give varchar. Okay, so integer, character, varchar. Say for example, you want to insert date of birth of the student. Okay, for that also we have date data type, time data type. Okay, and decimal. Say for example, I want to record student's height. Student's height might be 5.7, 5.6, 4.8. So like this, these are the decimals, right? So decimal is a data type. If you want to track decimal information, you can mention as a decimal. Okay, salary, you want to give salary, right? For employees. Say for example, you are creating a employee table. For employee table, salary column is important, right? So for salary, for declaring salary, what kind of data type you can give?
Money.
Money. There is a separate data type called money. Okay, so you have to declare money. Like that, we have text and text and varchar. Okay, and varchar
And
max.
I have a doubt. We can give percentage like that. What
Yeah,
type
you
of
can give decimal. Percentage is 66.7%. What is that? Point means decimal. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So in case if you want to track student marks percentage, you can mention that as a decimal data type. Simply the columns, what kind of data it is going to accept, you have to give that data type, okay, beside your particular column name. So I want to track student number, name, and date of birth. The date of birth, class is fine. Okay, student number, what kind of data? Numbers, right? It is going to accept numbers, right? So you can mention it as to integer, comma. Next column is yes name. For each column you have to keep comma here. Okay, next column name is yes name. Yes name means student name. Student name can be
Character.
character. For everything, usually character type of data we usually commonly used, okay, data type is varchar. Okay, you can directly use varchar. So there is an advantage with the varchar and char. Okay, so char, if you mention char of 100, means even though if you are using or not using, it will take all the 100 bytes. Okay, if you give varchar 100, means, say for example, if I give varchar of 100, okay, so your name is Padma. Padma means how many characters? 5 characters. It will only use 5. Okay, and we have big names also. Srinivas Reddy, it's a big name. In 100 characters, it will take all the characters how many needed. Srinivas Reddy, how many characters are there? It will take might be 20, 25. If you directly give char, using or not using, it will directly allocate 100. But if you give varchar, what it will do? It will only take how much it needed. Even though if you give 100 bytes, it will only take how much it needed. Remaining will be used for the operating system. Right? Clear? That is the use of the main biggest use of the varchar. Okay, for it is going to save the storage, right? Fine. So that's fine. Just let's two columns, or let me go with the another column, class also integer, right? First class, second class, third class, like this. Okay, so right, I will create a table with these 3 columns. I have 3 columns. One is student number, second one is student names, third one is class column, right? So in which database I want to create this table? Again, very important thing, whenever you are running query, okay, now you are going to run this query, right? So whenever you are running query, if you don't select anything, it will run all the things. Okay, it will run whatever it is there here. Okay, it is trying to run all these things if you don't highlight and if you don't select the command. If I want to run only this row, okay, just select this row only. Whatever you want to run, you have to highlight it. If you want to run the whole script, you can directly execute it without selecting anything. Now I want to run this one only, just highlight this one, execute it, then it is going to execute. So if I execute now, in which database the table is going to be created?
Master.
Master database. Very good. Okay. So if you see here, very important, this part and this part here also you can see. It is very important. Okay. So remember guys, very important thing. Keep a star mark in the notes. Okay. Whenever you are executing a query, check on what database it is going to execute. Which database is highlighted here. On that database it is going to be executed. Very important thing. Okay, if you want to change the database, you want to execute this query, you want to create this student table in the batch 39 database, select this drop down, select the database name, and then execute it. Very important. Okay, so whenever you're running a query, select query, insert query, update query, delete query, alter query, whenever you're doing anything, make sure on which database you are running that query. Very important. If customer is asked you to create a table in the batch 39, but if you create a table in the master database, that's it. Okay, so whenever you're running a query, what query it is, of course, if it is select query, it will simply throw error, object is not existed. But imagine if it is insert, update, delete and all, it will create a lot of issues, right? So that's why any query, whenever you're running the query, before a second, make sure on which database I am going to run this query. Very important guys. If you do mistake here, that's it. Okay, right? So yeah,
Sir,
tell me.
sir, if I forgot to select the batch 39,
Hmm.
already the mission have master
Yes,
database only,
yes,
no, sir.
yes.
But we run the query, the
Hmm.
data will be saved in the master database only, no, sir.
Hmm,
Whatever
hmm.
you want, we can to return the database, no, sir.
See, master database, first thing you cannot store the user related tables and all. Okay, master database is completely dedicated to the SQL Server metadata information. You can
Okay.
create it. It won't stop you, but we are going to follow some standards. Okay, so we don't usually create any user tables in the system databases. You can ask, sir, why can't I create table? You can create it, but there are some standards. If everything we are going to create in master database, what is the use of the user databases?
Okay.
Okay, so that's why we are creating user databases for storing our personal purpose, right? Personal data, right? So that's why we have a separate dedicated database. Okay, so master, you have to leave it for the SQL server. It will store the SQL related data. But if you create table, it won't stop. It will be successful. Now also you can create table in the master database, but that doesn't looks good. Okay, why? Because if you started creating table, you will start inserting the data, right? So all the data will be inserted to the master database, right? Master database size will be increased, right? Which is not good. Okay, so that's why we are not going to store any data in the system databases. System databases mainly will use it for the whatever things we have discussed. To store those things only system databases will be allocated. Okay, so if you want to create any user objects, then you have to create in the user databases only. Fine.
Okay, sir. Sir,
Right.
one
Yeah.
more small doubt,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Each mission have a 4 types of databases, no, sir.
Hmm.
Now we are saved into the batch 39 only.
Yes.
In batch 39, VM mission have databases, 4 databases have, no, sir.
Databases means
I mean, a master database.
system databases.
It's
Okay.
telling master, model,
Okay.
MSDB, it's all open like that, sir.
Hmm. Yes. Okay, each
The
system
batch
will have
39
four
have
system
also
database,
the
5 system.
four
Yeah,
system database.
yes. Batch 39 also.
We are running the query in batch 39, sir.
Yes.
Then the data will be stored in batch 39 master data only, no, sir.
No. Don't think each and every database will have its own database, master database. Master is
Okay.
the common repository for the whole server. Don't think Bash.name will have one master, Paytm will have one master, nothing like that. Okay, master and model, all the 4 or 5 system databases are related to the whole server. There is no relation between master and Bash 39. Master will simply save Bash 39 database information. That's it. Okay. So there is no again master for Bash 39, master for Paytm, nothing like that. Master is only for the whole SQL server. Okay, if you create table, it will directly store in the Bash 39 only. There is no Bash 39 master database. Okay, it will store in the Bash 39 only. Where you are going to run the command, the objects will be created or altered in the same database only. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Any issues, any doubts?
Sir,
Yes.
when we are creating a table,
Mhm.
can we insert two items like integer and var character in one?
No. One column, how can 2 characters it will be? How can 2 parameters for one column? How can you define one column with 2 parameters? At a time, is it possible?
For example, we are creating a bike number, sir. Like
Bike
that,
number.
for example. Bike number, registration number,
Okay.
AP39, like that will come, no, sir.
Yes. Numbers and
AP39.
yeah, numbers and characters combination. What data type you can use for that?
Yes, sir. That's no.
What data type for numbers and characters? What data type you can use?
Where characters?
Varchar we can use. No need to again mention. Okay, for numbers integer and again for characters varchar. Nothing like that. If you want to save bike number or flight number or address, you can use varchar. It will help you to store numbers and character type of data also. Okay, so for
Okay, sir.
example, if you go to UK side, US side, we will have names. Okay, John Williams 2, okay, and Elizabeth Rani 1. Like that, we will have names. The names itself will have numbers, right? Right? The
Sir.
names itself will have numbers. So there itself, we are going to use varchar only. Okay, so we will have, if you see some of the names from US side, UK side, they will have, okay, Williams 1, Williams 2, like that they will have numbers in their names itself. If they belongs to this one, any like dynasties and all, usually they are going to follow this one. Okay, JF Kennedy 1, Kennedy 2, Junior, like that will have different names. It will be included numbers also. Their names numbers also will be included. So if you want to store names and numbers, you can use varchar data type. Okay, again, no need to mention integer and character or integer and varchar. We cannot give 2 data types for a single column.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so right. So let me quickly create a table. So if you expand here, you can see there are no tables. Okay, you can only see tables folder is there, but there are no tables. Please mute. Please mute. If you don't have questions, I'm getting echo. Right. Okay. So if you see here, there are no user tables, right? If any user tables are there, you can see the user table. Okay. If you see here, system tables, file tables, external tables, graph tables, and all folders are there, but there are no user table. If I want to create this table, if I just create this table, if I execute this query, okay, what is the shortcut to execute the query? You can go for execute option, first thing. Second thing, what is the shortcuts we have? What are the shortcuts? F5, very good.
Or
F5.
control E, we can press control E.
Control E.
Control X. Control X.
Control E.
Control E. Okay, let's try Control E. Okay. Very
Control
good.
A and execute the query.
Control A and execute the query. Very good. Okay. Control E. We have 4 keys. Okay. One is you can select execute button. Second one is Alt X button, not Control X. Okay. Alt X. Third one is Control E button. Okay, and function key is F5 button. Okay, you can use F5 also. So direct execute, okay, Alt X, Control E, and F5. These keys we can use for executing the query. Or who will remember all these things, sir? I'll simply click on execute button, sir. You can click. no problem, no issues. Okay, so now command completed successfully. You can see here, say for example, if I did a mistake here, okay, for example, like this, I just write the query like this. You can see under this every word, you can see an error, right? Incorrect syntax. If you keep your cursor here, it is simply showing incorrect syntax near table. Okay, so if you can see a red line under any word, that means it is error. Okay, so for example, now let me correct this one. I just corrected. If I remove the comma here, okay, so the next one will shown as a error. Why? Because as per the syntax, comma should be there here between the columns, but you removed the comma, so you can see red line. So in the script, if you see red line under the name, means that is an error. There is some issue is there. There are some errors are there. Okay, so you can identify. So if you run that query also, it will throw the error. Okay, so without running query itself, we can easily identify, okay, there is an error in this script. You can see red line. Okay, so if you run this, it will throw error. So you have to easily identify, okay, by using this red line and all. So red line reflects errors in the script. If errors are there in the script, you cannot execute the script, right? Script or query. Okay, so single line we can call it as a query. If we have multiple lines, we can call it as a script. Fine, clear guys? Right? So now if you see here, I just created table. Where is my table?
Refresh.
Very good. Okay, so in case if you are doing anything, what you have to do? You have to refresh it. Okay, you can see the table now. What is this DBO dot table? What is this DBO?
Database owner.
Database.
Yes. What is that? What is that object called?
Computer
Schema.
Schemas. Okay.
Schema.
So every table will be stored in schemas. In the last class, we discussed, right, logical hierarchy. In the databases, we will have schemas. In the schemas, we will have tables. Okay, so each and every object will be stored in schemas only. Tables also will be stored in schema. So the first name is schema here. DBO is the default schema. I didn't give any schema name. Schema is simply it's a container. Schema is nothing but it's a container, a collection of tables. Okay, every table usually it is going to store under one schema. The default schema is DBO schema. If you don't provide any name, automatically all the tables by default it will be stored in the DBO schema. Right? So this is how we can create table student. Okay, so in case if I want to create employee table, we can create employee table also. So now I want to see the details of student table. I want to see what are the columns are there. I want to see what are the records are there in the student table. What is the query for that?
Select star from student.
Right? So just now I have created the table by using create query. If I want to see the table, what are the columns are there inside the table? What is the data is there inside the table? If I want to see the table, I have to open the table, right? How can I open the table? What is the query to open the table? Select query. Select star means all columns it will open. Star from what you have to give? Table name. What is the table name? Student.
Students.
Okay. So
Student.
yes. Okay. So the table name is student. Right. Okay. So now if I run this query, okay, if I run this query, is it successful or failure? Is it successful or it will be failed? I need
Fail,
answers
sir.
from
Successful,
everyone.
sir. Successful. Failure.
Successful, sir.
No, sir.
Successful, sir.
Failure.
Going to be fail,
Successful,
sir.
sir.
Failure.
Fail, sir.
It will be failed.
Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir. Because you have now selected the Paytm database, sir.
Very good. Okay. So here everyone is forgetting the main rule again. Before executing the query, what I asked you to check? I asked you to check the database here. So everyone simply saying the answer, it will be successful, successful, successful. So you are not checking the database name. If it has to be successful, what database name should be there here?
ATM.
Batch. Batch,
Student.
sir.
Batch
Batch-
39.
Batch
Batch
38.
39. Why 39? Okay. Why? Because we have created table in the batch 39. And you are searching in the Paytm table, Paytm database, sorry. You just created in one data, you have just created your table in one database and searching in another database. How it is possible now? If you want to see,
Yes.
you can see. Okay, you will get the error. Invalid object name student. Okay, so you can see the error. Invalid object name student. Object means table. Why we are getting the error? Why? Because you just created your table in the batch 39, but you are searching in the Paytm. How can you get the data? Right? So this is a query, use database name. Okay, will help you to change the database. Every action will have in two ways we can complete any action, right? This is GUI way of changing the database. What is the query way of changing the database? Use database name. Use database name will help you to change the database. If you want to see here, check once. Okay, I am just executing this line only. See here, bash 39 is there, right? Let me execute this. Now it was changed to Paytm. Okay, so if you run this, it will be failed. Why? Because I don't have table in my Paytm database. I have table in my bash 39 database. Select the bash 39. Now run this query again. Now you can see the columns. See here, whatever columns we have created, you can see all the columns here. Right, clear guys? Fine. So this is the empty table. We just created columns. We haven't insert any data. We have to insert data, right? If we create simply create table name, all the data won't come, right? We don't know what kind of data it has to be inserted in the table. Okay, we don't simply automatically it won't insert any data. So we have to insert the data. Who will do all these things, guys, in the organization? Creating table, inserting the values and all. Who will do?
Developer, database developer.
Very good. Okay, your developers are going to do. Okay, so nothing to worry. Your developers are going to take care of these things. They will only create the tables. They will only insert the data inside the tables. Okay, they will only pull the data from the tables. Everything will be done by the developers. For them only we have to give permissions. As an administrator, we have to give permissions for them. We can control how much a user can see. Okay, we are more than developers. Okay, we are more than developers in terms of permissions, in terms of maintaining SQL servers. But developer is a high-end position. Okay, developer means you should know the scripting and all. Okay, you will get lot of big packages and all. Okay, developer package is very high. Why? Because everything, the logics and all will be applied by the developers only. Might be you have more permissions than developers in terms of administration. Okay, but the developers are the highest position. Okay, right. So I want to insert some data inside the student table. How can I insert it? There is a separate query for that. Insert into. You have to provide the table name, right? In which table name you want to insert the data, you have to provide, right? I want to insert the
Student
data
table.
into student table. Insert into table name values. Okay, and what and all values you want to insert. Say for example 1, I'll start with 1. We'll go with some student numbers. Okay, so something like Ramu. While giving a character type of data, give this single quote. Don't forget. Why? Because for example,
Look,
yes,
I have a one doubt.
yes.
Now you can give student column there, right? In there, red line is there.
Yes. I
Something
haven't
error
completed,
request.
right? Yeah, you are correct. Okay, I have to complete this query first. I haven't completed. It is under process, right? Once we have completed, if you still see error, then that is an error.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
why? Because I just opened these braces, but I haven't closed it, right? And it is expecting 3 columns here. I only gave only 2 columns here. Okay, so I have to give the 3 columns. Then I have to close it. Then this error will goes. Okay,
Okay.
right. Okay, so whenever you are giving, say for example, Srinivas Reddy. If you give like this, Srinivas, okay, if you give like this, if you give space, it won't accept. Why? Because it will treat this as a second column. It will treat Reddy as a third column. But for class, what type of data it has to be expected? Integer, but you gave character and there is no commas. Okay, so it will simply throw the error. So if you want to insert Srinivas Reddy, you have to keep this Srinivas Reddy in a single quotes. Then it will treat as a single word. In the names we will have spaces, right? So you cannot directly give the names, all the names, even though you want to insert only, you can ask, sir, I will only insert Ramu, sir. Can I insert like this? No, you cannot insert like this. Okay, it is character, right? You have to keep it in a single quotes only. This is how you have to insert. Character type of data you have to insert like this. Okay, right? So which class? Might be 8th class. Okay, just 8. Right? So close the braces. Okay, so you can close it. So you can see here, I just closed the braces. Still sometimes you can see error. Okay, so might be due to small issues and all, sometimes it will show error, but if we can run it, it will be executed. Right, before executing, you can see one right mark, right tick mark here. This is parse button. Parse button will help you to check any syntax errors are there or not. Okay, if you just click on it, in case of any errors are there, it will throw the error. Say for example, I just removed this T here. Okay, now if I execute, it will shows error or it will shows command completed successfully. What it will shows?
It shows error.
Error, sir.
Yes, okay. So parse button will simply check whether your syntax is correct or not. It don't consider whether student table is existed or not. Actually, student table is wrong. Okay, but it doesn't mind what parse button will think. Might be it is an object name. I don't know about the object name, right? If any errors are there in the syntax, parse button will simply throw you the error.